Be a safe lane. But it does appear maybe a support puck we're seeing.
Yeah, I think that's the likely case for LGD. They can't have all their cores at this point unless they really prioritize their last pick support. You do have some value from Legion Commander here. It's pretty decent way of dealing with Ricky. If you can catch the dual target on that Ricky every single time. Of course, the Ember is a pretty potent target to go for as well. You don't have any way of guaranteeing yourself the win here for LGD, so no shallow graves on their side, no false promises coming out, but you don't have the same thing from EHOME. No snowball saves, no shallow graves in their end. So it is a bit of a freer LC match in that sense that there's nothing stopping a full duel from really succeeding here, but you will have to choose your targets carefully as there is some good damage here from EHOME.
Certainly is. LGD, final pick. 10 seconds reserve time for this left, by the way. See, we saw the Husker and Lycan bans.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
GD. Gonna go for a bit of a deeper think. This will explain this landing stage for LGD with these kind of hero pickups as well. And okay, the Bloodseeker comes out. So it definitely looks like a support puck. There's the potential for a support Death Prophet, but I highly doubt that. And it does look like it should either be... do you put the Bloodseeker safe, or do you just put him mid?
That's a tough one. I think I'd prefer it in safe, just because of how much farm you can really get, and the matchup against Ember can be a bit of a toss-up. Ember does have a little bit more control. Bloodseeker does have good damage, but the added control and magic damage on the Ember can make it a bit hard for the Bloodseeker to just sit there. He really needs the presence of a laning support to either zone or help him secure kills, and stuff like that. I think the Bloodseeker is definitely, in this case, more than likely going to be safe. The DP matchup for the Ember is a bit better for LGD. You do get a little bit more there, or again, the potential of the puck coming in mid instead with a DP support, but that is probably greedier of a support duo than you'd want. So it does look like the puck is going to be on our support, and I reckon it's DP mid. It's probably just Bloodseeker safe. It works well against Pangolier, especially once you hit 6. So you can play around that.
EHOME, a hard decision to make for this final pickup now. It's just such a flexible lineup for LGD. EHOME not so much with their own. Gonna have a long think about this one. It does still appear we're looking for the Faith Beyond hero. I just don't see him playing Pango very often. It just doesn't really remind you of Faith Beyond when you see that Pangolier come out. We have seen Sin-Q play it quite a few times in that position 4 role though, so that wouldn't be surprising whatsoever. I really do want to see the Clockwork, but I just doubt it's coming out into a Bloodseeker. It doesn't feel nice.
Yeah, it's a bit risky, I think, going for that clock into blood. Although the potential for trapping is pretty good. They go to Visage. So you've got that, yeah, this is not something you see too often, but it can be highly effective. It gives you a lot of great push, a lot of good damage, and decent enough laning control that if you're not careful, EHOME can definitely punish you for overstepping.
Yeah, it's funny as well, because LGD, I believe it was, did go for the Lycan ban. It could have been EHOME, but the Lycan was taken out, and well, now you've got this other kind of hero that can really set up a crazy amount of push from level 6. I wondered, with this kind of build as well, do you go for a similar style build as that Beastmaster? Do you go for a Helm of the Dominator into maybe a Necro book? Like, what would be stopping you from doing that as a Visage? Personally, John, I'm not a Visage player. I have no clue what to expect. We don't see it enough to really know what the item build should be. But it wouldn't surprise me if Faith went a very similar style build as his Beastmaster does.
I don't think the two heroes play alike too much as you'd expect. I actually think At least before, you know, it's been a while since Visage was taking the center stage. I think the buildup used to be uh Solar Crest, just having that
Ah,
added minus armor, going for the really stupid damage on your birds and trying to burst heroes down. There are some pretty potent targets here for the Visage to really run down as well. So that's something that you could build up to. I don't think Necrobook's amazing on Visage, but with the way the game's changed, it could be something viable. I'm not entirely sure because everyone I know that plays Visage just kind of died out. They just stopped, and they were like top 100 players. So I
you
don't really
have
have info anymore.
you have brought back some memories though of that Solar Crest build that we used to see. I do now remember that's what Visage always went. I can't disagree with you on that. I think it might be a really nice pickup. Only time will tell. It is Faith Beyond after all, so you have to be, you can't expect too much because he always ends up proving us wrong somehow with his kind of item builds and the way he plays the game. He's very unique in that thought process. He doesn't really necessarily follow a standard item build or meta. He tends to do his own kind of thing. Like even now, he's gone for the level 1 Soul Assumption. So you're used to seeing Grave Chill at level 1. I guess that sort of indicates they're looking for a first blood straight off the bat.
There is a lot of potency with the burst of Soul Assumption level 1. I think I've had a lot of discussions as well. Towards the recent ways of playing Visage, I think my friends actually did prefer Soul Assumption just because of the laning presence. Like you pop that Grave Chill, all you can really do is trade right clicks during that 6-second window. So you're using superlative move speed drain and a bit more attack speed to trade hits for 6 seconds. And that's it. It's going to be on cooldown for 16. It's a 90 mana as well, whereas Soul Assumption's a good amount of burst. Just a little bit more value in that early game. At least for level 1.
Key to note as well, it is going to be that mid DP. So they are going to put Chalice on that Bloodseeker up at the safe lane. We are going to see FY on that position 4 puck. Of course, Old 11 going to be on that LC. Nothing too surprising there.
The battle begins.
And LGD not going to give any kind of opportunity for that very, very early first blood potential. But EHOME, they're going to stick around and start moving their way top as 3. And I definitely believe you 100% want to try and go for it. But no, Why is actually going to TP out. He's not going to waste any time. I guess you still do have some crazy amount of harass potential with that Soul Assumption without going for first blood anyway.
Yeah, it's still pretty potent, especially with Sin Q. If he gets the right swashbuckle, you could fill up the charges fairly quick. So that is going to give easy access to damage here for Fate Beyond as needed.
Straight away. That's a fair bit of damage from that first Soul Assumption onto Chalice. But not going to be too annoying for Chalice. He does have a lot of regen already packed away. Think you're going to try his best to just keep X-Nova off this Visage until you do see a couple levels in that Gravekeeper's Cloak. I've always found that a very, very annoying ability, that Gravekeeper's Cloak. Like, it just seems like he makes this hero the tankiest hero in the world of Dota 2. Like, it just never seems to die until you get through the layers of the Visage.
It's the one of the tricky things about laning against Visage is really trying to balance out your harassment. So sometimes if you're not careful, he's going to have a stack recuperate on top of you midway until he's alive long enough to launch, what, 2 Soul Assumptions back-to-back fully charged. That is potent, although really good movement here.
Yeah, they are going to go on to Faith Beyond. He's in a bit of trouble. Not as tanky as you'd hope. You trying to help out, but he just can't do anything. And X-Nova, he'll pick up the first blood on the Shadow Demon.
Yeah, a clean pickup for LGD. Going to be extremely happy to find that offlaner out. This does allow the Magic Wand to be assembled by Fate Beyond, and he does come back in with full mana, but he's not going to be happy about dying that way for sure.
Visage is also one of those snowball kind of heroes, right? Like, you do need to secure farm fast. It's not a hero that loses the lane very often. So if you do lose the lane, you could find yourself in a very awkward situation as this kind of hero. And I guess we'll see what he does. What he does do is he has queued up the Helm of the Dom, by the way. So looks like he does at least want that. Bot lane, FY, going to be in a bit of trouble with a nice jaunt away with his orb. But yeah, he does opt for the Helm of the Dom in the end.
I think that's fine. I think it's one of the items you do go into as a Visage. It gives you a lot more. It's the stats that's really good in the hero. Just the added regen you get for your birds as well. Pretty nice.
Yeah. Of course, mid lane, the one we haven't really talked about too much. Somnus and Nothing to Say going up against each other. So far, Nothing to Say having a pretty grand old time. Though we'll have to talk about that later, because Faith Beyond again is going to find himself in trouble, and Chalice picks up a second kill onto Faith, and they might even find Sin-Q. Bloodright's going to be there. It does silence up this Pango, and he has Swash. Can he get it off in time? Looks like he does, just barely. There won't be enough Shadow Poison stacks to tick him out. Though bot lane, they do lose Y on the side of EHOME as well. FY picks up the kill, and LGD, great start, 0-3 so far.
Yeah, they've definitely gotten better lanes here compared to game number 2. I think every single matchup has been working out quite fine. It feels like they've underestimated the potency of this top lane here from EHOME. Like, Fate Beyond can get work done with the Visage, but Visage really starts to shine at level 4, I want to say, is when it really kicks in, and he just hasn't had enough space bought for him from Sin-Q. In fact, Sin-Q has more EXP now because of how much he's died in lane.
Well, that's usually why you do see the Visage in the mid lane, right? Like, he needs that solo XP. But in this kind of off-lane matchup, like, he can't afford to be left alone. But he's also not finding enough XP to really start going out of control. It's a bit awkward, as now Chalice is level 4 on the Bloodseeker. Mid lane, Somnus is diving with a haste rune onto Nothing to Say. This could be dangerous, Somnus. It's a Fairy Fire, bottles up, does get the Crypt Swarm, but may die. And he does, but at least you got the XP and gold before you died.
Yeah, really maximizing that haste rune and just forcing a very awkward confrontation for, oh, Nothing to Say. He's not having the best time, is slightly ahead. It's a fairly even lane so far, but that kill should set Somnus up to get a slight edge there.
5-minute Battering, Sin-Q trying to secure the top ones, but X-Nova does grab it. Already looking to find the other one off the side of EHOME, and he should get there. Sin-Q doesn't have Swashbuckle available. Sure, X-Nova dies for this, but the amount of gold he's giving away to his team, he'll be more than satisfied to give his life away. It's just a free reset for him. Does he duke this out? No, he does not.
Yeah, as you mentioned, you'll just get back in full mana, so you're going to have to deal with another set of Shadow Poison spam from the Shadow Demon. I think that might actually set you back compared to letting this Shadow Demon live, walk back and TP back in. It wastes a lot more time. Here, well, he's just going to TP back in and spam.
Not to mention, they did find 4 bounties, LGD. And in fact, speaking of LGD, FY, going to rotate mid onto Nothing to Say. He's getting very close to that level 6 mark, but he's not quite there yet. So if someone can get a Spirit Siphon going, it could be very hard for this Ember to get away. But no, FY going to back off for now. Meanwhile, Chalice has been left alone, so Faith Beyond does capitalize and does find the kill, but now the Ember will be dived with this Exorcism. He has no way out of this. He needs one more point of XP to really get there, but he doesn't have it. X-Nova doesn't actually die, surprisingly enough. Somnus will just take the front lines and ensure they can't follow up. And LGD, apart from that Bloodseeker kill, looking great in this mid lane.
Yeah, they've committed a lot of resources down mid to get these kills to shut down the Ember. It is paying off. Like, this has been a really rough start for Nothing to Say. He has tapered off from dying then, and he should hit his level 6 with his respawn, like the moment he gets back in lane. That should give him a 6. He does have it, so he's in a safer spot. But LGD's managed to find all the kills they wanted before that. They really just wanted to keep a lid on the Ember before that escapability is there. And they've certainly done so. So now I think is the moment they shift gears and start focusing on different lanes. Maybe just watch out for Chalice. Him dying is not great. And they definitely need the Bloodseeker to go up to that early start. Don't want to bounce it back in any way towards EHOME.
We've got the Rupture up as well now, so perhaps you want to try and make a play up top, but you got Faith Beyond. He's sitting way back on that Visage, not really putting himself in range of danger. Bot lane, Old 11 gonna get jumped right now. Should go down. He's completely surrounded and really has no way. He doesn't even go for the press the attack. Has no points in it. So no purge, no heal. Does just die.
It's not a great spot for LGD, but that did take quite a fair bit of support rotations to find those kills, so they have freed up that top lane for Chalice, and he's perfectly fine lane against Fate Beyond, although Fate Beyond at level 6 now with familiars should be a bit scarier to deal with because they do a good amount of damage.
Rupture. Bloodright, Faith Beyond will run out of the Bloodright range, and now, oh, of course, you can ink swirl the birds. Of course you can. The guaranteed stun from those birds is there, and Soul Assumption. Bloodright again going to come out. Chalice trying to find a trade. You are surrounded, sir. Chalice has no help. Very risky spot for him, but luckily for him, they don't have any lockdown right now. And Somnus will rotate up. He does have Exorcism. But he's not really going to find the opening. Looks like he will have to go back down to the mid lane.
It's a really cheeky play from EHOME going for this combination with the birds. I mean, it is good against the Shadow Demon because you can time the disruption saves, but just having the added utility with that Grimstroke around is definitely scary. They move pretty darn fast as well. So, good luck dodging that as a support.
Yeah, I mean, Shadow Demon, sure, he can disrupt, but it's going to be a bit ugly to even try to Sylar. Bot lane going to get jeweled up. I believe this will be the first jewel of the game. They don't really have the damage output on Sylar, so he's still going to run away. This should still mean a kill, surely. Oof, that's a lot of damage from overwhelming odds. Sylar tricks the trade, really dragging this out, but he does eventually go down to F1 on the puck.
That took a lot of effort for LGD this time, but they find that key kill, although EHOME ready to fight back.
Inkswell, X-Nova trying to go for the outpost. Does avoid the Inkswell with the disruption, but knows he's dead. Still, the rest of LGD may feel comfortable to try and fight this, as Old 11 does have his armlet up. They'll take the outpost anyway, but the other outpost in the Dire Jungle will be taken by Faith Beyond. And bot lane, bit of a fight over the bounties, but the Ember will just remnant out in time.
This should allow LGD to get that push going on the bot lane. They've still got the Exorcism on Somnus. Doesn't look like they'll even pop it. They're going to find that tier 1 down bot without having to pop that big ult. At the same time, they have been taking some damage up top, but Fate Beyond hasn't really been focusing too hard on towers just yet.
Death's bounty.
Bot lane, they may set up for another gank attempt here. This time Sin Q is going to be the target. Chalice has Rupture, commits the Bloodright, but doesn't have the range for that Rupture. So they'll move on towards that mid lane now. The Exorcism is of course available, so you do want to try and make a push if you can while it's off cooldown, and Chalice would love a Rupture onto this Remnant. Onto the Ember. There are remnants available. He does commit 1 or 2 more left. Looks like he will be perfectly fine. They don't really get the silence off. I guess that's kind of a... You need that guarantee of the silence from Somnus if you are expecting that kill onto the Ember. They'll still try though. Not committing the Exorcism yet. Sin Q. Will Rolling Thunder onto Old 11. Now the Ricky joins in, trying to jump on FY, but he jaunts out. Old 11 starting to fall low, but he will press the attack still. They have the control, but X-Nova will save with the disruption. Can he get this LC out? Not quite. The team fight, however, continues. Somnus has popped the Exorcism, so does want to fight. But Inkswell Familiars are following Somnus. He gets stunned up. You're going to have follow-up, and you have plenty of damage to come out from Faith Beyond. And even Chalice now going to be followed up. You still have the bird stun. There's one. This gives Sylar the chance to jump in. Grave Chill. And Chalice is going to die. What a hero.
Oh, yeah, just so much coming out from Fate Beyond. All the control you'd want, all the damage you'd want. That setup with the Grimstroke is just really obnoxious to play against. You just can't run away. And if you're going to depend on Disruption to save you, well, there's still the stone form afterwards, which is really easy to land with Shadow Demon setting up for you. So, all the tools there for EHOME. That was Exorcism once more, and they don't even manage to get decent enough chip damage onto this tier 1. A lot of missed opportunities there for LGD, but EHOME gonna be extremely happy with that. Of course, we have the Hump the Dominator up in Fate, so you are seeing a lot more on those familiars than you'd expect.
Absolutely. Of course, the tier 1 tower is still going to be under siege, and we do see rotations coming in. Dream Coil is there, but I don't think it latched on anything, and yeah, it didn't. They did dodge. They'll go for the team fight anyway. The tier 1 went down, but who cares? If you can find kills, you find kills. Disruption is going to be there on Somnus Sync Q. He's been ruptured, falling low, but Somnus does go down for the trade. And now they can go for more, as there is so much damage coming in from EHOME with these familiars. Old 11, he can't sustain, he tries, and now the Inksword comes in X-Nova, he gets stunned up, he dies. Faith Beyond controlling the whole side of LGD by himself, basically. And Chalice, gonna run away. I don't know how much further he can run, as Sylar will have Blink in a second. He doesn't have an Orb of Venom or any kind of slow, but he'll chase him down, slowly but surely. Meanwhile, FY also trying to get out of there, but you do have a Sleight of Fist. He has been healing with that urn he does have. Looks like he does manage to orb away. I can't say the same. Wow. Okay. He swashbuckled him down. Chalice does also die on the Bloodseeker.
Oh, just LGD not able to find their openings in these fights. Like, they have pretty good damage with the Chalice Bloodseeker, sure. And he can just rupture up that Pangolier. He just kind of runs himself to death, and that's all nice and dandy, but the control is definitely a big factor. Every time they miss that Dream Coil, it falls apart. They need the Dream Coil to latch onto the heroes they need it to be on. Old 11 doesn't have the easiest targets to go for with the duel. He's always going to have to worry about that Visage and the Familiars, because that will just mess up his pace. And that's just way too much to put on the plate of an LC. They just want to go in and get one fight off.
Somnus just out of position completely, getting caught out on the DP. And top lane, same thing is happening with the Riki. Old 11 does get a nice duel onto Sylar, does claim a very important kill, though mid lane, who have they found? Uh-oh, it's Chalice. Not to say should have the chains out. Plenty of control once again. Rolling Thunder even being committed just to really ensure this Bloodseeker dies, and he does. And now Old 11 is really, really far forward. Well, I say that, but he's behind his tier 2 tower, but it doesn't matter why. With the Stroke of Powder, now X-Nova comes in. Just one by one. And more to TP in. They're trying to stem the bleeding that EHOME is providing, but it's pouring out.
They cannot stop this. They keep trying to fight in this way. They get picked off first, and they get run down. They're not aware of the movements from EHOME. Their vision is just way off the mark. EHOME having much better wards on the map so far to watch this movement from LGD and punish them for that. I think LGD needs to take a step back, try to plant some wards in basically by their entrances to the jungle. That's going to be the key thing, to allow some space for LGD to farm up. They are behind right now. It's not a big gap. It's 3k behind. They haven't lost too many objectives just yet, despite having lost many fights. So they really just need to try to get a grip on where EHOME wants to go. They need to be aware of that movement and kind of sidestep it for now. They're not set up on their Bloodseeker to take these fights. Somnus has tapered off a bit in the DP. Once you have that Yule's up, I think you're going to have an easier time to play around the control from EHOME, but it's still not amazing. So you need time for LGD. It's kind of the same situation as Game 1, but they have a lot more leeway here, as you know, they're not as far behind it.
What do you do with your LGD right now? Your top lane's being pushed in. Faith can do it by himself. They fortify. This is one of the things I forgot about Visage, is he really tends to force a lot of rotations out. So you just have so much wrap potential with this hero. And this is classic Faith Beyond play, just pushing down a hell of a lot of objectives basically by himself. and forcing the whole of LGD to rotate to deal with it. Does have the mech up as well, and going into the Guiding Greaves, though LGD, they smoke up. They know the rest of EHOME are there, though White will break the smoke, and now they do scout everyone out. Soulbind immediately coming out. This is looking bad already for LGD. They get a rupture off with that exorcism popping, but look at Somnus's HP just dropping so quick, but they found Faith with the Purge. Can they take him down in time? He still has a mech and does commit. Old 11 now goes in with the duel. Where's the protection? They do get the disarm off just in the nick of time, but no. Old 11 finds the kill. He will still go down, but we do have nothing to say. Moving forward onto Somnus, really wanting that DP, and even Sylar, he jumps in with that Diffusal Blade, gets that kill. Now the Remnants forward onto the Ember. They're going to find everybody as the FY on the puck goes down. They've lost X-Nova, and Chalice is the only man left standing, and they have a Diffusal. They do get the Purge off, and this is going to be another team wipe for EHOME. They threw everything on Faith Beyond, but that Gravekeeper's Cloak and the mech just kept him alive for so long.
It's just not enough here from LGD. Like they jump for the Visage, as you mentioned, but the burst damage isn't there. The item pickups you went for really helping out the cause. Then you suddenly have all the heroes from EHOME jumping in. LGD needs to be able to jump even weaker targets in the back. Visage is not it. You know, you can't burn through the Visage fast enough. I'd say the bigger targets to go for perhaps the Grimstroke or the Pangolier. These guys are the most disruptive in these fights. You don't have an easy way to do that as Old 11 though. Still saving up for the Blink. So at the least it is kind of a priority for Old 11, but it does feel like that's going to be coming out a bit too late. And this will allow EHOME to just take a real shot.
Very nice. Age is going to be given over to Sylar, and Sylar's looking so strong right now, John. He's got the Van Brace, he's got the Diffusal, the double Wraith Bands. He's just hitting like an absolute truck. And EHOME, you know, if LGD aren't careful, they're going to finish this game in the next 10 minutes. It's that easy if they get a couple more good team fights. And they want Chalice. They know who they want to aim for. Sylar runs in. They have Inkswell. They don't get the Blink Strike they want it, but the Rolling Thunder's perfect from SyncQ. And with the smoke screen, how do you get out of here? You just don't. Just die.
Yeah.
Nothing to say, meanwhile. Getting purged up with the silence from Somnus. This could be a big kill. He does pop his Blade Mail. Nothing to say. Has help coming in. Sleight of Fist. He has Remnants, or maybe he doesn't. Soulbind comes in with the double silence, though. Why? With the Inkswell. Controlling everyone up. And we might see a repeat, LGD. This is really dangerous.
Oh.
They're going to lose 4 already. Where is FY? Trying to run away. They lost 4 for nothing. They didn't even find that Ember in the end.
LGD just... They're forcing out fights when they really shouldn't. They should just try to pull back. Cut your losses, guys. You don't need to force these fights out every single time. There is some pressure on LGD to try to find those big kills. It's just not paying off. They are just completely behind. They don't have the burst damage. They don't have the sustain to hold true. They need to wait for... I guess the BKB on Chalice is going to allow him a lot more presence. So maybe if you can farm that up on the Bloodseeker, you're going to have the frontliner you'll need to take these fights. But I don't know, it doesn't seem like that's going to be enough. You're dealing with so much damage coming out just from the physical damage of like Fate Beyond's familiars at this point. Level 2 now, with a lot more damage coming out. It's just kind of ridiculous what they can get away with here.
The thing is as well, like they could try and drag this game out the best they can, and I believe the Visage does eventually start to drop off as a hero. The only thing is you've always got that wrap potential, that constant split push that Faith Beyond can throw out with these birds. And even if you do manage to drag the game out, enough so that you find some equal kind of footing with EHOME, you're always going to have that problem where you could just try to go for a fight or a smoke, but every time you do, there's going to be familiars pushing down objectives. And at level 3 especially, when they have 60 damage up, that becomes a real problem.
Yeah, it has a lot of room to grow into the late game, I think. Like, there is a bit of timer, as you mentioned, but I think with how far ahead they are, they're not too worried about that timer. There's just no space for LGD to make use of this time.
Go for a smoke. This is dangerous. They don't have that BKB yet on Chalice, and EHOME, they might go back in. Inkswell on the familiar, can they find somebody? Not quite, it won't reach, but they would love to get Somnus. Rolling Thunder comes in. There is going to be the silence and Rupture as well into SyncQ, but he's got so much control here onto Somnus. At least the silence does get up. SyncQ may die for his trouble, but now the Soulbind comes in. Jewel as well being thrown out just before SyncQ dies. This could be a good team fight for the side of LGD, but they're falling low. Chalice, he runs back in.
Oh no.
Yeah, he dies, and now Somnus is also very, very far. Faith Beyond cleaning up, and they found another old 11 going down. All of this for a position 4 Pangolier.
I get that LGD is feeling the pressure. Again, it's a very questionable smoke when you're waiting for the BKB on your Bloodseeker. You don't have vision on the map. I mean, you have some, but EHOME has been playing very well around what they know to be warded. So, not many opportunities for LGD to really maximize the smoke there. It just felt really off, and the high ground's going to be simple to take for EHOME. Just look at that melt.
Look at that win probability, John. 98% right now for EHOME. It's, and this is what I always say about this team, right? You can't underestimate EHOME. I don't care if you're the worst team in China or the best team in China. They are a team that can bring out a really weird draft, and you have no idea how you're going to play against them, no idea what they're trying to do. In fact, Sylar goes again onto Somnus, who is a sitting duck right now. They jump in, the Soulbind on both cores with the double silence once again. How do you get out of this? The double Inkswell as well. Somnus is dead. He can buy back, and he may need to, as chains will fly out. They do get the Aegis on Sylar. Chalice, he kind of just gives up there. And there's the GG.
Oh.
I don't blame them. I think the game's over.
Yeah, they've just lost so much ground here, LGD. For a while, they weren't too far apart in terms of net worth, and it seemed like they might be able to ride out that wave. They kept forcing fights when they shouldn't have. They should have just stepped back, tried to ride through the wave. They had decent high ground control with the heroes they had. Like, they had the blood right to keep shoving that wave back. They had the puck for potential team fights with a Dream Coral and just shoving the wave out as well. And they get a bit too impatient, force fights, lose a lot of heroes back to back, and just get taken out like that.
Ooh, well, that was a fun night of Dota, John. Of course, that is it for tonight. We will both be back tomorrow for some more great Chinese Dota. Tomorrow we have IG versus RNG for our first series, and that'll be followed by CDEC versus Newbie for the second series. John, of course, it is getting late for us. We probably want to head out. But if you enjoyed, follow me at MLP Dota and follow John at johnxfire. And you have Facebook as well, John. What's the Facebook tag?
It's johnxfire.gaming. If you
I was going to be worried if you didn't remember.
It's up there.
So we hope you enjoyed. We'll see you again tomorrow night. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And we'll hopefully have some good games again tomorrow.